And I think there's four underclassmen who at quarterback who I think we're kind of waiting and see what decision officially they're going to make. Lenora Sellers is right there. He just turned 20 years old in June, so he's still very young. Now he's a South Carolina kid, and he's being compensated very well. So I think it would be smart for him to go back because he is still very much a work in progress and learning. He's so talented, though. I think he's like right now where he is further along than like where Anthony Richardson was when he came out at Florida. Lenora Sellers is already where he is right now, further along in his development. So we're not talking like bare bones, raw. I mean, but there's still areas where he needs to get better and develop and become more consistent, especially as a passer. Now he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks we've seen in college football the last few years. The strongest quarterback I've probably ever evaluated, which all due respect to Jalen Hurts and Cam Newton, Sellers is the guy. And that's a big part of what he is, and the ability to get himself out of bad situations. And that offense isn't really helping him. The pass pro is terrible. Nobody's getting open. So I think if I'm Lenora Sellers, like I said, he is a South Carolina kid, but you need to look at your options out there, because if he entered the portal, he would be like a very high priced free agent. Sellers, I think there's a good chance he goes back, and if he does, I think he'll be better for it a year from now. Dante Moore from Oregon is another one who he had a hot start to the year, cooled off a little bit, didn't play as hot against Indiana. We'll see how he finishes. He's another one who's very young. He will not turn 21 until after the draft. So I think Dante Moore from Oregon, he only has, if he came out after this year, he had like 19 career starts. So another guy that's very young and inexperienced, and Oregon's a program that will pay. So I think Dante Moore, good chance we see him go back. Ty Simpson's a really interesting one from Alabama because he's a former 5-star. This is his fourth year at Alabama, but he's going to have, maybe 13, 14 starts if he does come out, enter the draft after this year. And the track record of those guys hitting in the NFL is just not very high. I had an article this week on The Athletic about quarterback success based off of college starts, and what does that tell us? And you look over the last 10 years, quarterbacks who started less than 25 games in college, the hit rate is just, it's bad. And, we're talking about Mitchell Trubisky, Anthony Richardson, Dwayne Haskins. The only quarterback who has had, is playing well this year in the NFL who had fewer than 25 starts in college is Sam Darnold. And Darnold's on his fifth team, and he needed, all these bumps along the way to develop and get where he needed to be. So it's tough to take a quarterback that early when, he just doesn't have that experience. So Ty Simpson's going to be because he's going to turn 23 in December, I believe. He graduated college before he threw his first touchdown pass. Like, he's a very unique case. And on one hand, he should be applauded for kind of waiting his turn and not just bolting because Bryce Young was in front of him and then Jalen Milroe was in front of him. He waited his turn, and now he's, based on where you look, he's the Heisman favorite based on what he's doing at Alabama. So, and then the last guy, Fernando Mendoza. So those four underclassmen, Mendoza is probably the most likely to declare. He's probably the most ready. His younger brother is behind him in Indiana. So that's a weird dynamic about, okay, do I leave so my brother can get playing time now? Like that's, that's part of the discussion. But Mendoza is to me, a Jared Goff like quarterback where the physical traits, like he's a good sized player, but the arm, the athleticism are more good than truly great or elite. But what really separates him is the football IQ, just how smart he is pre and post snap. It's a very RPO heavy offense at Indiana, and he is so good at operating that way. And so he's based off of what Indiana's doing, the success they're having this year. Mendoza is a big reason for that. And so, I think he came into the year as a first round pick, and he's only strengthened his chance of going as high as the top 5.